Let's get talking about diminished substitutions. We're going to start by talking in the minor environment where our diminished seventh chord originally comes from, and then we'll talk a little bit about how this also works in a major environment. So in the last class, I talked about how we very naturally get this B diminished seventh chord within our C harmonic minor scale. And as we go up through its inversions, we end up getting a total of 4 different diminished chords that are available. Now, naturally, this B, if I go up a skip, up a skip, up a skip, is the only chord available starting on that 7th scale degree. But if I start on the 2nd scale degree, in other words, that 2nd diminished chord that's available, sure, on the 2nd scale degree, the D diminished 7th, in this case, is available. But if I'm true to the key and I go up skip, 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 I end up getting something called a minor 7 flat 5. This is another chord that's available as opposed to the diminished 7th chord. If I go up to the 4th scale degree, we talked about how F, in this case, F diminished 7th is available, but also if I go up skip, 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 I get F minor 7. And lastly, on the 6th scale degree, the flat 6 to be specific, if I go up a skip, a skip, a skip, I get an A flat major 7 chord available. So let's say we extend a chord progression, something like C is our minor 1, A flat, major 7, F minor 7, D minor 7 flat 5, and then we're going to play a G dominant 7 before coming back to C minor. First of all, if that sounds confusing, I would say learn a little bit more about the basic 7th chords before you dive too far into diminished harmony. But I don't want you to feel like at this point in the course, you're like, oh my God, it's going to be so much of this type of harmony moving forward. It's really not. Think of it this way. On the 1st scale degree, we have C minor, pretty easy peasy. On the 6th scale degree, A flat, we're just going up skip, skip, skip. Don't worry about what it's called. It is called A flat major 7. If you don't know that, something to learn on the side. And then we did the same thing on the 4 chord and the 2 chord. Again, 2, 4, and 6 are important because when I take this diminished 7th chord in its natural habitat, starting on the 7th scale degree, as I invert it and pull out those other diminished chords, they're built off of scale degree 2, 4, and then this flat 6, A flat in this case. So I was just showing you as I'm going down through these chords, the natural chords that they want to be, A flat major 7, F minor 7, D minor 7, flat 5, we're going to start with those as our starting point. And then to get back to 1, I'm playing G major or G dominant 7. It's a really classic sort of move to take us back to C minor. In fact, let's go even more simple. Let's use the B diminished 7 to take us back to C minor. So we'd have C minor, down a skip, down a skip, down a skip, down a skip, and then resolving back to C. Now what's cool about this is we can take any one of these chords that are not diminished, not the 1st chord, not C minor, so A flat, F, or D, we can take any one of those 3 notes and substitute them for a diminished chord. So let's try this out. We have C minor, instead of A flat major 7, let's play A flat diminished 7 to F minor, and then our D minor 7 flat 5, B diminished 7, back to C minor. Next we're going to try it with, instead of the A flat being substituted for a diminished chord, we'll try it on the F minor. Did you hear it? So we had this A flat major 7, F diminished 7, D minor 7 flat 5, B diminished 7 to C minor. Now we're going to try it, instead of D minor 7 flat 5, we will try D diminished. And this sort of move, by the way, you hear a lot in Chopin's music. So a minor 7 flat 5 turning fully diminished, or vice versa. It sets up different harmonic movement and can kind of pivot around certain keys and modulate in a fun way. Let's try it out. C minor, A flat major 7, F minor 7, all very natural chords from our key. Here's our diminished chord, down to B diminished, and then back to C. You could also substitute every one of them. C minor, A flat diminished 7, F diminished 7, D diminished 7, B diminished 7 to C minor. So the point here is that if you're playing a chord progression in a minor key and you have the 2, 4, or flat 6 chord as its sort of normal variation, like the A flat major 7, the F minor 7, or the D minor 7 flat 5, you can substitute any one of them or potentially all of them for diminished 7th chords. Now this gets really unique when you pull it into a major environment. So first of all, if I'm in C major, as we know, this A flat doesn't really exist in the key, but we're still going to work with it. That being said, where you're going to find substitutions is more often going to be on the 2 and the 4. The B already gives us a diminished sound, but in C minor, we would have D minor or D minor 7 if we add an extra skip, and then on the 4th scale degree, F major or F major 7 if we add an extra skip. The A flat isn't really available, so for now we're going to gloss over that. But let's say I'm in C major, I'm going to play a basic progression, 2, 5, 1. Very common in jazz. We could even add some extra skips. 2, 5, 1. Now I can take the 2 and substitute it for a diminished chord. 1, 2, 5, 1. And same with the 4 chord. So if we go 1, 4, 5, 1, let's try the 4 as a diminished chord. 1, 4, 5, 1. Again, if you want to hear this 1 to a diminished 4 within a piece, check out Clair de Lune. It is the initial progression from Debussy's Clair de Lune. Tell me if you recognize this. Okay, so we have this D flat major and then G flat diminished 7th with some sidestepping, but there it is. And it's on the 4th scale degree. So substituting the 4 chord for a diminished 7th chord. It's almost like diminished harmony had been used so much in the minor environment during the classical era that Romantic composers decided to sort of turn it on its head a little bit and pull it even more into major music. I'm not saying that diminished harmony was not used in major music, in classical and Baroque music. What I'm saying though is that Romantic music really opened up the floodgates and started using it a bit more. So those are some great diminished substitutions to get you started with pulling diminished 7th chords into chord progressions to make them sound more classical, more tense, and generally more diminished. In the next 2 classes, we're going to start to talk about octatonic scales, aka diminished scales. So in the next class, we're going to talk about the whole half diminished scale. I'll see you there.